If you are homeschooling boys, you are going to relate with me on this subject. If you are on the fence about homeschooling, I just want you to think about these things. Just put them in the back of your mind when you're making your decisions. Who is parenting boys out there? You? My first precious bundle was a girl 16 years ago, followed by five boys.
Oh, you got another one! Yes! No, and another one!
I've never loved confrontation, so I've always been in my homeschooling journey, okay, you do you, I'll do me, don't bother me, I won't bother you, I'm not going to try and convince you to do what I'm doing, and I certainly do not want you to try and convince me not to homeschool. Well, as I've progressed and probably just gotten older and gotten more thick-skinned, I really think that these things need to be discussed. The public school setting, the classroom setting, is not going to be ideal for a huge percentage of boys. I don't know the percent. I just know that I have 5 boys, and if my boys had to be in a classroom for any length of time longer than 2 hours maybe, they would all be given recommendations for medication. I'm not saying that they cannot sit still. I am saying that they cannot learn effectively for that length of time. They would not thrive. I never want you to think that I'm actively speaking against public schools. It is more that I'm actively speaking for homeschooling, for the positive benefits of homeschooling. And there is a contrast, there is a comparison, and we have to be able to look at them objectively and say, all right, this actually is not a good model that fits this child. Hi guys, I'm Danielle. Welcome to my channel. This is Hogan Life, and I am a homeschooling mother of 7. I am a stay-at-home mom, and I love to talk about everything mom-related. Coffee first. Oh man. I am just going to take you through the things that I have noticed in regards to my boys. My first big observation when it comes to teaching my boys homeschool over teaching my girls is their response to physical touch and that connection between physical touch and learning. Just having that liberty to rub their back or hold their hand, tickle their arm or touch their hair. If they're in a classroom where they don't have their mom or their dad or whoever's teaching them, they are not having those connections very regularly. I'm not even gonna go into the psychology of it. I just know it's valuable. I know it's valuable for my boys. I've seen the way that when we're connected and we're learning a concept together, they're able to connect with that concept. The next one is energy levels. I know you guys know this. If you have boys, the energy levels are just to the moon, which is why there's a huge percentage of boys on Ritalin in public schools. So to be in the home and to have that flexibility to be able to say, okay, run around the house 5 times or do push-ups or do some jumping jacks, or let's just go for a walk. Let's get some of those wiggles out. To be able to say, okay, get on the floor and wiggle like a worm for 2 minutes. Those things might sound silly, but there is that pent-up energy that makes children not be able to focus. It's amazing. I mean, just the wiggle in their legs, the wiggle in their hands, the wiggles of their entire body. Sometimes I'm like, can't you just stop wiggling? The third reason I think it is so important to homeschool boys is positive social interaction. Now, this is totally reverse of what is like I don't know if it still is, but the main reason people question why homeschooling might be a good thing. The socialization aspect of it, which is actually one of the main reasons I do homeschool. The peer association is actually the lowest tier of valuable association for our children. And that is under adult association. It is under association of those older than them and association of those younger than them. Peer association is actually so prevalent in our culture that kids are getting impact and influence horizontally instead of vertically. Influence used to go down from generations to generations, and there was a respect for the older generations and the value that they provided for our lives, the value that they had because they've had experience. And in past generations, children would respect and value older generations, their parents, their grandparents, even their great-grandparents. There was a family culture that had this proper alignment. What is absolutely missing in peer influence or peer culture is unconditional love and acceptance, something that is so necessary for our children to experience. It means that they're gonna be vying for the attention of their peers. They're going to have a higher chance of either becoming a bully or of going along with the flow, whatever that is, so they don't create any waves. When you are in a family and you have older siblings, younger siblings, you are able to witness a self-sacrifice that is so valuable to learn, because you as an older child will extend yourself on behalf of the younger ones in just a very natural family way. It doesn't mean I don't make a huge effort to be sure that my kids have fun peer interactions, because they do. We have tons of cousins and family, but we can't get this out of line. We can't start thinking that this lie that has been fed us, that the social interaction of their peers is so valuable, so important, that you would even consider not homeschooling because of it. That doesn't even make sense. Kids do not need other kids as much as they need the love of a parent, the stability of a home, the challenge to be their best self. You've probably noticed that respect is a really wanting thing in our society. If I am witnessing just that one thing, that going into a public school setting is going to undermine their respect for those that are older than them, that's reason enough. These reasons all kind of stand even on their own without even being put together. But the next reason is the ability to shift gears. Sometimes I start the day with math because I feel like everyone wants to get that out of the way. And sometimes I'm like, ooh, I can see that it's not a math day. It's not a math starter day anyway. So we can do something all together, or we can do our read aloud. I have a daily general idea of what I want to do and the order I want to do it in. However, to have the flexibility to just shift gears at any time if things are not going as well, or if we're having attitudes, or if I'm having to deal with some other kid drama. I love the prerogative of me as a parent and as a teacher to disrupt the lesson myself in a very positive way in order to save the learning. Let me tell you what I mean by that. One of my children has a really hard time anytime we encounter something of greater difficulty, and he's smart and he's really able to do stuff well. Anytime it gets too hard, it's like a shut-off valve. I have to be really strategic and disrupting the lesson in order to protect the learning. I can be disruptive myself. I can do something that is silly, out of context and out of character, to make him snap out of what would be a downhill spiral. Every year that goes by, I see the value in homeschooling exponentially increased. And it's not just the state of our public systems, it's also just I am experiencing all these different reasons that this is the most valuable thing I can give to my kids. My next reason is that I think all my boys are just such tactile learners, and I think all kids do better with an across the board, of being able to use their hands and use their senses. The kinetic learning that is just everyday learning, being in the kitchen with me and doing housework together, folding laundry, doing laundry, feeling textures, being able to jump up and go in another room if something in our studies lends itself to an experience in another part of our home. There's just that freedom and there's that movement that you can have to really learn with the senses. Boys connect so well with this because they are so energetic. They just are such physical little people. Finally, the ability to laugh. This is one of the reasons that homeschooling boys is so important, because that connection, it's all part of a connection. That bond you share, that quickness to laugh and share something that is humorous. When you have kids, funny things happen throughout the day. And you can be a real stick in the mud, or you can laugh about it. And then you can have this memory that you just made with your kids where you laughed about something silly, and it kind of cements the learning experience. I just really find that if you engage some of these different emotions while you are learning, while you are in that mental process, there is a solidifying effect. It is so good to just explore all these other reasons why this is so valuable, so that if someone asks, I can share. And I come from not just things that I've read in homeschool magazines or homeschool blogs. I am coming from an experience that is so much more dramatic than just reading about something. I hope you can relate with this a little bit. I hope this gives you some food for thought. I always want to be an encouragement to you in this homeschooling journey. No one can mom your kids like you. I'll see you next time.